So, ladies and gentlemen, I am really excited to introduce you to Krystal, right? One of the reasons I wanted Krystal to talk on this podcast is because Krystal is constantly telling me in our membership groups, wow, I'm really learning something today. This is crazy. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't to walk away with more information. And I said, Krystal, what did you think you were going to get out of the program? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know what I thought I was going to get out of it, but she has graciously agreed to talk to us a little bit about what she is getting in the program, what her life is like currently as a landlord, looking to buy her home again, right? Looking to expand her investment portfolio, and what changes she has made for herself as she looks to the future. So Krystal, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I have been asking everybody to start with what initially got them into real estate to begin with.
Oh, I don't think it was a thought to get into real estate.
Okay.
It was, I finished my PhD and I got a job.
I'm so sorry. I'm like, I know she's a doctor. I just assumed it was therapy because the way she comes to our meetings and just drops the gems, but it's not. It is with the science. I'm so sorry.
It's in the science.
That's right.
So I moved and I was like, okay, I don't want to sell my house. I was like, let's rent it out and move to New Jersey and go from there. So it wasn't a thought of let's get into real estate. It was like, okay, I got to move like now.
Okay. So I apologize for misnaming you, Krystal, because it is Dr. Krystal. And I will make sure to complete that for the rest of the whole podcast. Okay, so Dr. Krystal, we started when you bought your property, the one you moved from to come to Jersey.
Yes.
Why did you buy a house?
Oh, now that is a very interesting story.
Okay.
So I was at my church and one of my pastor came to me and she said, are you working full time? And I was like, yes, because I was struggling with employment, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And she said, you need to buy a house. And I cried. I did not want to buy a house.
Okay.
I didn't want to buy a house because I thought that was going to keep me secluded and tie me down. And I'm very much a nomad. I like to go different places. And I was like, if I get this house, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And she was like, but if you're renting, she was like, where's your money going?
Okay.
When you can put that in a property.
Yes.
And I was like, I cried and I wiped my tears. And I was like, but what if I move? She said, then you just rent it out. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
I didn't realize that was an option.
So what year was this?
This was 2018.
Okay. So I guess honestly, without your pastor's intervention, you would have just kept renting.
I would have kept renting.
Okay.
I would have kept renting because growing up from where I am, it's like you didn't buy a house unless you were married.
It's a family purchase. I see.
And so it's like, why would you have a house and it's just you? And she was like, why wouldn't you have a house and it's just you?
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Fascinating. Did you get any pushback from your family then when you went to buy a house?
I didn't. My mom was like, she didn't even think to tell me to look into it because she didn't own a house until her and my father got married.
Got it.
And so I think everyone else, I had two aunts who, same church.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Same church. My pastor had told them to get townhouses too. But as a kid, it seemed like they got married very soon. Like, they bought the house and got married. I was like, it all seemed like it was in the same year. And they were like, no, we had our houses like 5 years before we got married.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Got it. So in 2018, and you said something else then. You said you were struggling with employment and still got kind of convicted.
Oh, my goodness. I had traveled. I had lived in the Bahamas. I had come back. I was trying to figure out. I had been a 6th grade science teacher. And I was like, I love science and I love the kids, but it's not fulfilling me. This is not what I want. And so I was just trying different things and trying to find something that fit. And then eventually I started working at the community college, which I absolutely loved. And that was my stable employment. So I was like, oh, this works.
That is, okay. So we finally got the job.
Yes.
We're looking for the house.
Yes.
Is it like the first house you saw? Did you have to see a bunch of properties before you closed?
I had no idea what to look at.
Okay.
So I was like, try to get like a 2-bedroom. Like I had no idea. And I would talk to certain people and they were like, why are you scaling so small? And I was like, well, what's small?
Yes.
And then what's large?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just me. Do I just need one room? And I had found something that was like a 1 room. And they were like, Krystal, no. So then I just started talking to my pastor like, Pastor Shepherd, look, this is what I'm looking at. What do you
Yes.
think? I need some guidance in this.
Yes.
Because I had no clue what to look for.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, what are some non-negotiables? And I was like, I don't know. Because how do you have non-negotiables if this is not something that you saw for yourself in the beginning? I was like, I want a garage.
Ooh, getting crazy.
Like,
Yeah, putting stuff on that list is hard when you have no context of what you should even be trying to go after.
right.
Right. Okay.
So that was my struggle. And then eventually we started looking at more stuff. And I was like, wait, okay, I can afford more things. Okay.
Okay.
And I went through a program called NACA.
Love.
And NACA was an amazing program. I didn't have to put any money down. I got to furnish just about my entire house because of the savings with NACA.
Absolutely.
So I was like, oh, this is amazing. So
And what was your mortgage?
the total price, I think it was $153.
Oh, sorry. Monthly mortgage.
Oh, I'm sorry. Monthly mortgage, it started out at about $825 a month.
Can I ask what you were paying for rent?
Ooh, maybe $635.
Oh, so this is one of those interesting spaces where it went up.
It went up, but I had way more space.
I was going to say, but what it sounds like what you were getting from going up was worth the $200.
Way more space. I had a garage. I had 3 full bathrooms.
Wow.
I had 3 bedrooms and a bonus room.
Wow.
And I had a nice little patch of grass in the back so I could put my hammock.
That's right.
So it was wonderful. And I was able to purchase a house. My main thought once we started getting into the process is I knew my father couldn't climb stairs. And I was like, I want to make sure that there is a bedroom on the first floor.
Amazing.
So when they come in, that they can, just easily live here and not have to worry about going up and down the steps.
The thought or the foresight from, I didn't even think about buying a property to, I want to make sure my parents could stay here comfortably if they needed to, is your learning curve. I mean, it's no surprise, right, Dr. Krystal, that the learning curve is that big, right? To say, like, I didn't even think about buying anything. And now in 2018, I have a property that as long as I hold on to it, my parents could retire to if need be. Right? And they might not need it at all. They might be like, hey, we're fine where we're at. We want to go somewhere else. But if I wanted to, they could stay here, or it could pay for things.
Absolutely.
It could help pay for, because you are no longer there.
No.
You have moved, and an option could have been to sell it.
Yes.
Right? Take the money, because when did you move up here?
I moved here 2022.
Which meant you were at height of market.
Yes.
Yes. Could have walked away. You were at peak. Right? Especially just for a 4-year difference. The interest rates were still low, at least for the first half of the year. So you could have sold, made a lot of money, and come up here, but you didn't.
No.
Decided to hold on to the property. And what is that property doing for you now?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, it just keeps going up in value every time I get one of I think it was the tax assessment.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this was a really good investment. And my pastor's no longer here. She's transitioned. But I'm like, every time I see it, I'm like, girl, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
really
The Lord was
beautiful.
looking out. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
I appreciate it.
It sounds like there's a 2-part, because we've talked about this, so I'm adding these extra pieces in. There's an appreciation play
Yes.
of just, if I do need to sell it, what I will get back regardless of capital gains, right? Because you pay capital gains on money. Right. My tax lady is always like, you can have poor people tax problems or rich people tax problems, right? I don't know which one you want. If they're asking you to pay you money, it's because you made money. So like, let's get over it. You got to pay the bill. But it's also providing cash flow every month.
It is.
Right? And sometimes I think a lot of my audience gets stuck on, I need to have 10, 20, 30 properties to feel a difference in my life, right? Like, it is not worth it to just have the one single family in the Carolinas or the one single family in Illinois. So I want to ask, with the cash flow you're getting from this property, what about your life is different? What do you spend that money on?
So in the beginning, I was a little hasty. And I was like, treat yourself. Because I was like, oh, this is some extra income. Yeah. Because a small portion goes to property management, which I greatly appreciate,
Come
and
on.
they are worth
Yes.
every dime
Yes.
that I pay
Yes.
them, so I don't have to deal with some of the small things. But now it's being put into savings, so I'm
Okay.
not touching it at all anymore.
When you were treating yourself,
Yes.
what did that look like? What were those treats?
Uber Eats,
Little sweet treat.
maybe
That's-
some shopping, some different experiences, like, a nice show in New York,
Yeah.
or, or just treating family, like family coming in town. I'm like, I'm at a point, I'm no longer a broke grad student. I got everybody.
Oh, I love that.
And that felt so good. It really did.
That is the first time we've heard someone say that benefit. And again, trying to give people the range of benefits that one property can do.
Absolutely.
And if you're like, I just get to take care of my family in a different way, that is so beautiful to be like, hey, I don't know about on social media, I think millennials sometimes have a bit of an identity crisis of what we remember as kids, the barbecues and the concerts and the whatever that our families used to do, that those aren't necessarily happening the same anymore. But part of that is because it's our time to be the ones running it. Right? Like it's no longer for us to just receive the love or have it poured into us. It's our turn to host the barbecue, to pay for dinners so that whoever's below us can then feel what we felt.
Absolutely.
And so for you to be so actively saying, I use that money to make sure that those people feel that, or to make sure my parents or whoever is coming to visit me, the no longer broke Dr. Krystal.
It's like, thank you.
Feel the benefits the same way I am is wonderful.
Thank you.
Again, just the beauty of one property is sometimes like indescribable of like, or trying, and that's what we're trying to do and put it into words, but like, it's so powerful, just the one. I want to shift now because Krystal came into the program as a property owner.
Yes.
Right? As a homeowner, a property owner, a landlord. When we started doing our one-on-ones, right? We learned some stuff about ourselves.
Yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do.
So, Krystal, what are some of the things we have learned together?
We have learned budget. To respect the budget.
To respect the budget.
Because there were two things I told you that I wanted to do. I wanted to purchase a house.
Yes.
I was like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to flip a house or if I wanted to rent a house. I wasn't sure. I said I also wanted a car. And I was like, I wanted to start saving for a wedding.
Yes.
So those were my things. And you were like, well, you can get the car now. And I was like, girl, where? I don't see this. And so taking that moment to actually go through my budget and say, okay, you're getting a little too happy with Uber Eats and going to the grocery store and just throwing anything in the cart and not having a planned meal is a lot of money kind of just like seeping out. And so since then, now I have a car.
Now you have the car. Fantastic.
And I can still save and still have money left over. So it's like, oh, okay. Yes, let's respect the budget.
And I'm going to push a little more because I don't know if it was respecting the budget or respecting what you actually wanted. Right? Because a lot of times when we go through budgets and we feel like we don't have the money, right? If I'm like, based on what you're telling me, I ask about your debts, I ask about your income, some money somewhere, right? And you're like, no, it's not. It's like, okay. It is somewhere, but what's even more alarming is not the right word, but what's even more telling is that you don't know where it's going. So whatever it is, it's not that important to you. Because if it was, you would be able to immediately say, I spend it on X. Now, maybe I need to pull back from the shopping, or maybe I need to pull back from the drinks or pull back from the trips, but I know where it's going because that money is important enough to me to make the swipe. To not even be able to identify it means maybe we're coping with something or it's just so subconscious. Like it's not a lifestyle change we're asking you to do. It's really like, hey, if this can just go better over here since it didn't mean anything to begin with, I think that might be a better look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when I went through that budget and I started adding stuff up, I was like, oh, that's where it's coming from.
Yes.
That's easy. Let's start meal prepping and planning out some meals. And if I do want to go out, absolutely, I can go out and eat and have a good time. But it's like, not every day, or,
Yeah.
it's like the swipe on the phone is just so easy.
Yes.
Like, oh, Uber Eats, I'm tired. It's a long day
Yes.
of work. Uber Eats, and it starts to add up. It's like,
Because in reality, I'm eating my car.
yeah.
Right? In reality, Uber is getting my wedding.
Yep.
So unless Uber is going to be sponsoring the wedding, right? That's the plan. I'm really giving my wedding budget to Uber. Right? I'm really giving my next property. I'm sacrificing. We were joking before we started about having a second bathroom. I'm sacrificing my bathroom
Absolutely.
to Amazon, right? Or to whatever else it might be, instead of like, no, I actually would prefer the wedding over this meal and this delivery fee. And some people are different. I would rather travel than have the car.
Right.
If that's what they feel. But yes, we started with the budget.
Yes.
And then something else that I think, again, is so funny with Krystal is this year, 2025, we started a book club with the membership of, hey, we're going to read some books. We're going to talk about what we're reading, how we're going to apply this in real time. And every week, without fail, Krystal was like, did y'all know I learned something today? Did y'all know that this book, something to it? I don't know. So can you talk a little bit about your hesitation with some of this material and what you're taking away from it?
Absolutely. I hate self-help books.
That science brain.
I just love
100%.
them. Like,
Yes. Yes.
Just tell me what to do and we get it done. Like, let's move through the rest of it. But actually going through it, and I was like, you know what? This actually makes sense. Like, oh, and I started recommending it to other people because I was like, this is going to be a waste of time. I'm not going to read this book. And the first like 5 or 6 pages, I was like, oh, you got me.
Yeah.
And I was carrying it in my purse. Like, if I got a free moment, like, let me crack the book open. I was like, oh, I can't wait to discuss this.
Yes.
I was really excited because the author was using real life examples. And I was like, okay, I can see that. And it actually translated over into my job. So it was many different places that I could use it. I'm like, oh, this is applicable. Okay, I got you.
That is fantastic. And Krystal is one of the reasons I started a book club, right? Because I have these women who are super highly educated, right? Who have tons of options and need to see the proof behind the strategy because it's not coming out of survival. This is not like you have to do this because how are we paying the electric bill? Right? You have to do this. These are choices. And they, again, have way more choices than I did at 23, who was like, let me take my little $80,000 budget and whoever will take this offer, right? It's like, because there's a pick and choose aspect, I need to show you that I have a strategy. Other people do. Which one are we going to pick and choose for you? Because it's going to be different for everybody else. So it is what a win.
It is.
That it is working.
And I think I got on every call saying, you know what? I trust you now. I trust these book recommendations. Because after the first one, I was like, no, the second one, watch, is going to be a dud. They're both not going to be good. And I'm like, this is good too.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Now, I will tell you what. If the next 8 are terrible, I won for 2.
She did.
And I'm just going to keep going back to those recordings and be like, remember when Krystal was happy? Remember when Krystal was having a good time? Because I do. I'll be like, oh, I don't know who that person is. I'm going to shut off that Zoom screen and just put up the recording. And when she's like, I'm really thoroughly impressed. Just play that on repeat on the weekends. So funny. So what are your next steps as a real estate investor? We try to focus on the next like 1 or 2 things.
Okay.
What are you focusing on for the second quarter, if you will, of 2025?
Okay. So second quarter, I'm researching the different states. I think you had put something up before. Like each state has grant programs that can help you with housing.
Yes.
And so I've pulled up I think last week I was actually doing it. It's like 17 different programs in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And I'm kind of going through each one and taking my time trying to tease out and see what I qualify for and what can be used because I plan to purchase by August of this year. So that's what I'm looking at. And then probably, I want to say maybe May, I'll go ahead and start applying and fill out all the paperwork to get started and get pre-qualified and all that joy.
One of the more difficult things about how we talk about home ownership, right, that has been pushed by a lot of big I don't think Dave Ramsey will call himself an influencer, but a money man. Like I don't know if he really has a lot of. Well, that your personal home is not an asset, right? That it's not an investment. It's a liability. It's just debt. What I love about how you're describing it is that it is an investment because of the down payment assistance. You're saying, okay, well, how do I get this property? Like I did with NACA, right? How do I get a property based on what is available to me? Now, you're not going to qualify for a good amount of it because you've had a home before, right? Because of your income. But if there is something out there, even if it's lowering the interest rate, when you attack it like an investment and not just like a luxury, what that could look like on the back end. What are some of these programs offering, even if you're not qualified?
I know a couple of them were first-time homeowners.
Yes.
But it was first-time homeowners in New Jersey. So I want to kind of tease into that a little more. Because I'm like, well,
absolutely.
That could work for me. Some are $5,000 to $10,000. I've seen some with maybe 0.5 or 0.5 or I wrote it down somewhere. 1.5% with closing assistance with closing costs.
Amazing.
So I've been seeing those and like, okay, let's put these to the side and just ask. Like the worst they can say is no.
Absolutely. Right? The worst they can say is no. But here's another. You saying first time homeowner in New Jersey is so important because Jersey might be trying to draw in other people. Right? So it's not like, oh, you found a loophole. That might have been very intentional of like, I'm trying to bring in people from other states. I remember North Carolina, I teach seniors or used to teach seniors, and they had if you're a Virginia resident, you get North Carolina in-state tuition. Nice. Because they're trying to draw Virginia people because they're hoping those Virginia, especially right across the border, stay. Right? They're trying to draw them in and be like, well, you're only an hour from where you grew up. Why don't you just graduate and stay in this small town, right? And stay down here with us and give us your taxes and give us those things. So it's not a loophole. And it's, again, the foresight, that learning curve is so fast to say what could work for me and not assume, because I've owned before, that there's nothing out there for me.
Because I will say I started this process before I took your class. I started it I think when I first moved here in 2023, and I was looking and I was like, I got to come up with 20%. I was like, where am I going to get that? Yes. I just started working. I just got out of being a broke graduate student. Like there's absolutely no way. And I was hearing all kinds of terms like, oh, you can take a HELOC out from your home. And I was like, this just sounds like a whole lot of debt. No one's giving me, I can't see a way. I can't see a path. I was like, so I'm just going to rent and then we'll go from there. But now that I've had the opportunity to learn from the program, learn from you, I'm like, okay, we can manage this a little better now.
Yes.
We can look, there's still programs because NACA before, and that's what my pastor told me. She was like, I want you to go through this program, NACA. And I had never heard of it before. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going from not paying anything down to now you want 20%? I don't know how to do this.
Yes. With higher prices overall and higher interest rates.
Absolutely.
So you're like, so how?
Yeah, I said, I don't know how.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was like, I don't know how. And he's like, no, it's just fine. And I was like, no, I can't. And then the prices up here is so much higher for a much lower space. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to wait and kind of learn more and then try again. So here we are.
Dr. Krystal, I'm so sorry. Dr. Krystal, this has been so fun to hear both how your story started, right? Who inspired it? Because there's a beauty of like coming through the people who have looked out for us, right? To be like, I was only able to get started because someone kept talking to me about it, right? Because my pastor, did she own her house? I'm assuming she did.
She did.
She could have just gone home every day and been like, what a lovely house I own. That for me. How beautiful it is to be a homeowner. How wonderful it is to be a homeowner. But because she said no, other people need to benefit from what I'm benefiting from. You are now doing this so that other people can benefit from what your pastor's gift continues on. And that, like, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful memory that lives on because of her. But how that one property has now supported your family, will continue to support you for the next 30 years, might even, if I do say so, pay for your wedding. Right? So as someone who almost didn't buy a property because you weren't married,
Right.
to now have an asset bringing into your marriage is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And now we're here getting to be picky about what our dream home is. Right? getting to specify, be like, I don't know, layout, I don't like that tile. I'm not a fan. I have options. And even these options can be financed by the state of New Jersey. Brought to you by
Right.
the state of New Jersey. Is just wonderful. And I want to thank you so much. Before we leave,
Yes.
I'd like you to offer a piece of advice to a first-time borrower, investor, purchaser, whatever, in 2025. With what you've had 7 years of experience.
Okay.
You're looking to buy again this year. You're seeing the difference between when you started in 2018, but you're also seeing the difference with your new income and your new life.
Right.
If you were to give someone a piece of advice, what would you say?
I would say invest in yourself. And the reason I say that is because when I first, I think it was towards the end of the year, and I knew something different needed to be done, and you popped up on my timeline. And I heard your story, and you were talking about investing in properties to help people who couldn't afford like luxury places.
Yes.
But you could still have income and still help them too. And I was like, okay, God, like this is some clarity. I've never heard a real estate investor say stuff like that to help other people. And I was like, I want to learn more. And I saw it, I was like, you know what? I've done a lot of stuff. I was like, let me invest in myself. Like I invested in others. Let me invest in myself and take a class and learn and learn that this is possible. I can do this.
I'm happy
Tears.
that truly that Instagram
Yes.
popped up. Because I know it was TikTok. Golly. That
Yeah, it was
algorithm
Instagram.
shifts on such a dime. But I've been mentioning all week that I'm the same way you might feel about I found someone who has the same values. I have felt of like, I didn't realize so many people were looking for that option too. Right? That's so like that it's resonating with so many other people. I don't want to cry. That's stupid. We are resonating.
We're going to cry together. We're going to be on here like this.
It's so dumb. Stop. That we are, that it is resonating with so many people. And I think a reminder for us too, especially like with everything that's happening in the world, that the stories have always been different. Right? The lessons have always been a little different in some of these other communities.
Right.
And to respect those. Right? Because again, your pastor could have said, I'm good. So I'm going to be good myself. That and you wouldn't have even known that information was being withheld.
No.
And yet she took that time. You're taking this time. We're trying to show people like, we are here. We are here. It is working and will continue to work. Right? And you said 2018, 2048 is kind of like around the corner.
It is.
And that's if you don't pay a dime extra. And that property will be free and clear. It will be something you can now own or whoever own forever. Thank you so much again for sharing a little bit of your story with us. Hopefully I'll be back in the summer and we'll be at your new place.
Yes. I can't wait.
In that living room instead. I want to thank all of you taking the time to learn again more about my members and see the fun I get to have every Saturday. And again, the doctors who keep me on my toes, making sure like, hey, is that education diploma, is that of worth? Because my biology degree might say different when I look over at your social sciences. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. My name is Deandra McDonald with Simple Real Estate, and I will see you in the next video.